Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Listen, when we came up with this topic, I actually got excited, man, because we're sitting in studio today and we're talking about how so many influencers and so many people have something called smoking mirrors, to the point where the world build a rapport where they believe that they know these actually influencers because they watch them so much. They start thinking that they know these people. But I don't believe at least 90-something% of these influencers. I genuinely believe that they just be lying, right? And they be exaggerating and they be fabricating a lifestyle that they pretend that they live. Because when you look at some of these influenced lifestyles, some of the influencers look like they're spending $30,000, $40,000 a month just on lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? So it's all cap when you look at it. I'm watching young people crash out, taking on extreme amounts of credit card debt to keep up with influencers. But in reality, I just want a lot of you young people to know, a lot of y'all actually live better than people who are pretending to live better than you. Let me say that again. A lot of people are literally putting themselves in bad predicaments, trying to keep up with people based on what the influence on social media is giving. It's giving falsified people, it's giving lies, it's giving cap, it's giving, I have to try to be something I'm not in order to keep up with people who are pretending to be something they're not. And it's sad because the ones that could be the ones, they're not being the ones because they're focused on the people who are pretending to be the ones. When you look at statistics, right, the average millionaire, and I want a lot of y'all to hear this, the average millionaire in United States of America is 61 years old. But when you look on social media, every young person and every person look like they're millionaires. I don't understand, how is this true? Let me say this one more time. The average millionaire is 61 years old. Somebody lying. Am I not seeing what I'm seeing? Somebody is lying. It's all cap. A lot of people are pretending to be in positions they aren't because they're looking for attention from people who think they're in positions that they're not. But if you go to their living situation, you will see that it's all cap. I know people who drive foreign cars but live in shacks, but yet and still want to look like they have so much money. It is so sad when you see that we're being influenced by people who make money off the fact they can influence you to spend your money with them. Let me say that one more time. Somebody didn't hear that. We have influencers who are influencing you to spend their money with them so they can actually make money, so they can continue to influence. There's something going on right now, there's a phenomenon that a lot of people live in something called the influencer's house, where they live in 20, 30 deep in a house. Everyone is splitting bills. It may be a luxury house, but yet and still they're living there, paying pieces of the rent and living in a boatload of people in order to look like they're living this luxurious lifestyle. In New York, you have people that do that in Manhattan. You have people that do that in Brooklyn. And when you go to these apartments, it may be a 2-bedroom, but it may be like 40 people, 30 people living there because they want to live that inner city lifestyle. And the sad part is that young person is like, oh my God, so-and-so live in Manhattan near Times Square. And I'm like, but you don't know their situation. And this is what we need to start identifying, that you aren't doing as bad as you think you are doing because you don't see the whole totality of the story. And once you see the totality of the story, you'll realize that you're not doing as bad as you think you are. As I said before, the average millionaire is 61 years old. 61. I ain't say 51. I ain't say 41. I ain't say 31. And I damn sure ain't say 21. Like, you have 21-year-olds who are literally taking on extreme amount of debt in order to portray a lifestyle. Right now, the path to the wealth is long-term. The path to wealth is a long-term process that depends on many factors. including individual effort, opportunities, and a hell of a lot of luck. And I'm gonna throw one in there, great decision making. I realize that a lot of people make poor decisions and they realize why they're not rich. You can't make poor decisions and be rich. You need to make rich decisions in order to be rich. Poor decisions will equal to poor economics. Poor, get it? Rich, poor decisions, rich decisions. I like that a little bit. But I'm just saying, when you look at the average person who is portraying an image, it will make people falsify their life to keep up with people who portray an image. Sometimes I sit back and I listen to people. Today we were talking about crypto. And I am a believer in crypto. But the one thing I am, and I'm seeing a lot, is a lot of speculation. And I'm being fair and honest. But the one thing that makes me comfortable with crypto is one person said to me, the US dollar bill isn't backed by anything, but nor is crypto. It's only backed by the support, right, and the belief in it. So when you flip it, that stance is pretty much the same thing. We definitely living in a fiat culture. The economics right now is fiat, so therefore it's not backed by anything. So I get it both sides. But when you look at so many people and the cap that they're living in order to look like they are something they're not, stop chasing people who are pretending to be someone they're not and forgetting to be yourself. A lot of people have forgotten their own identities because they feel like they should regurgitate what social media say. A minute ago, we was facing a band from TikTok. And while we was watching this band, a part of me was excited. And I'm gonna tell you why I was a little excited. Because when you listen to how people speak, you can clearly see that they were told 90% of the things they say from a social media platform. The way they date, the way they shop, the way they live, everything about them is about social media. I'm a nightclub owner, and as a nightclub owner, you know the scariest thing you see in a nightclub is something called the main character syndrome. The main character syndrome, right? You watch a bunch of people come into the club with shades on and looking like they got their Sunday's best or their Saturday's night best on, looking like they're doing something so significant. But it's sad because those young minds, those impressionable minds, are spending more energy on trying to keep up with them, never getting to a level because they're chasing a level that really doesn't exist. Wealth is measured over time. Success is measured over time. Rich is measured over time. Being great is measured over time. But a lot of people are losing their time chasing an image. It's all cap. Everything is about imagery. And it's sad when you listen to people who are stuck in imagery. The main character syndrome is a term used to describe a person who views themselves as the main character in their life, and even in others. I think a lot of people have this main character syndrome. It's so sad. You go walk with somebody, they're like, I'm like, who is that? That's nobody. Everyone, let me state the statement. Everyone is somebody, and they have their own right to be somebody. But when you start making yourself believe that you're in an economical position you aren't, and you're using your resources to look like you are, you will be stuck in that poverty situation for the rest of your life. We're too focused on capping, right? The checkings account right nowadays, as of October 2023, the average checking account balance in the United States was $16,000. And that's all coaches across the board. 16,000, right? But the median balance, the middle balance, was 2,800. Did you hear that? The average balance in the United States is $16,891. But the median, which is the middle ground of the average bank account in America, is $2,800. $2,800. Yet and still, we still falsify our imagery by trying to act like we got a thousands of dollars in our account. Yo, that's crazy when you see people who could be something great spend their energy on pretending as if they already reached the whole finish line. You just started your race and you're already comfortable as hell. You just started your race and you're comfortable as hell. I'm nervous what is the next generation to come when I'm seeing this current one. I'm nervous because so many people spend money on vacations, eating out, shopping. And the sad part about it is when you look at a person who has a $1,000 bag and don't have $1,000 in their account, that's a goddamn shame. When you look at a person who just spent 6 weeks of saving to go on a vacation to come back to being broke, that's a goddamn shame. When you look at people who are so caught up in what people think of them, you see that they're not getting anywhere because all of their energy is spent on trying to look like there's something they're not. It's all cap. It's all cap. It's all cap, right? People don't even believe in cooking at home anymore. Because you know why? You don't get no clout when you stand at the stove and cook, but you get clout when you go to a restaurant and they bring out the food and you take a video like this. I went on a vacation one time and the people we went with, the whole trip was about them taking video and pictures for the future pictures and posts they was gonna put on social media. That whole vacation was about what is my next post when I get back. I get back Monday night, I'm posting this Tuesday morning, I'm posting this Wednesday, I'm posting this Thursday. You have people that are so caught up in the main character syndrome, even when they're back at home and they're not on vacation, they post as if they're still on vacation. Damn. Let me say that one more time. They post as if they're still on vacation, even though they've arrived back home. I remember one time I ran into a guy, I was like, damn, I thought you was in the Bahamas still. He said, nah, I've been back like 3 weeks. I said, you posted? Nah, it was a throwback Thursday, I was reminiscing. I'm like, my brother, you caught up in this social media thing, man. There are some influencers that definitely influence for the right part, but I genuinely believe that most people on social media are 100% cap. They're 100% cap, right? The credit card debt in the U.S., as of third quarter of 2023, the average American had $6,501 in credit card debt. The average American, right? The average American has over $6,000 in debt, $6,500 in debt. But we out here acting like we flexing, showing off. They said, do it for the gram. 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 But again, this is what we don't see. We're so captivated by looking like we have something we don't have, never getting to where we could get to. It's, you know, the scariest thing? I think everyone should move into a space, right, that's not extremely comfortable, but comfortable to the point where you comfortably can save. When you can cut your bills, right, by going to a space that allows you to stack your money so you can invest your money, so therefore you're not always and consistently working for money. Our culture has been taught how to be slaves. Our culture has been taught how to be slaves, right, to economics, right? And then we don't learn how to preserve wealth because wealth isn't measured by what we're taught. Someone that's constantly selling their hours to look like they're rich is not a mentality that will preserve or build wealth. A mentality that will preserve or build wealth is a mentality that understands if I keep selling my hours, I have to reserve a lot of that capital in order to make sure that I'm building myself a stable empire. The whole concept is making money on your money. The whole concept is not selling your time just to get money. And we get so caught in this rat race to the point where we don't even see that we're in a rat race. Because most people you will be around will ultimately be in a rat race. A person won't know they're on a hamster wheel when everybody else is on a hamster wheel. A person won't know they're broke when they're doing everything that everyone else that's broke doing. You have to live above the influence. and realize that the cap is what's keeping us conditioned to our environments, our mentality. I don't think it's anyone. I think it's just ourselves. When we start pointing the finger at others, we'll see that many fingers are being pointed back at self. In order to change one position, one has to identify what's wrong with self by doing what's wrong, rather doing what's right. I'm gonna tell you something, becoming successful will not come with the coolest days of your life. Let me say that again. Becoming successful will not come with the coolest days of your life. Becoming successful will not come with the glitz, the glamour, and all the fun. Becoming successful, you'll be called corny. You'll be looked at as being boring. But I'm gonna tell you something, the safest investors are some of the most boring people, but guess what? Now they're living a life that you pretend to live for a temporary moment, and they can get up and go when they feel because they made those sacrifices. I told myself years ago, I would rather a 15-year hustle to live the greatest life I've ever wanted in the 16th year. Let me say that again. The average person won't understand that statement. I would rather a 15-year hustle so in the 16th year I can live the life I want to live. By staying disciplined, by staying resilient, by staying consistent, by realizing that there is no one in my way but myself. We create our own obstacles, right? Because when you don't think life has obstacles, you're already fooling yourself. Life will always have obstacles. There is no success without stress. There is no winning without losing. There is no gratefulness without learning for being ungrateful. Everything comes with obstacles. But again, when a person can embrace obstacles, they can embrace that if I can defeat this level, I can get to the next level. Just imagine pausing your video game, Kenzie. You're stuck on level 12, and then you pause it. And then you come back a month from now and start playing that same game. Guess what? You're still stuck at level 12. That's how life operates. You do not move on to the next board until you beat the current board or the stage that you're in. We got to start looking at ourselves and realize that we're being taught how to be cappers. We're capping. It's a bunch of pretending. It's a lot of us becoming delusional in our own thoughts. Social media is a dangerous space. Let me say that again. Social media is a dangerous space, right? Because wealth is quiet, rich is loud, and poor is flashy. Wealth is quiet, rich is loud, and poor is flashy. But we choose to be flashy. Because it's about, as long as I look to such, therefore, I realize that most people believe they're playing a part for wealthy, but don't realize the wealthy played a part that is very quiet. Notice that most wealthy people, you will never even know they're wealthy. Sometimes the CEO looks like the janitor. And a lot of times the janitor looks like he is the CEO. Because the attention has become the catalyst for wealth. A lot of people will trade their futures for attention. I watched a guy, a police chief, mess with a woman. Ultimately, she's saying gave her tons of overtime, over $200,000 in overtime, right? Risk your pension, risk your family, risk everything because you're getting attention. But a lot of times when the people that come for you when you in a position, naturally they only coming to you because you're in a position. I've never met someone that woke up and say, yo, hey, I want to hang out with a loser. I've never heard no one say that. I would love to hang out with a loser. Yo, where the losers at? Right? This is reality. Credit card interest rates in August of 2024, right? The average interest rates on credit cards with balances that are assessed interest was 23.37%, 23 plus percent. 23% on a credit card. Damn. Listen, life is not about being able to borrow money. It's about borrowing money at a reasonable rate. because you will need to be able to borrow money in order to build wealth. There is no success without debt, especially when you're the first one obtaining wealth or riches. You will have to take on debt. But we have to acknowledge there is good debt and there is bad debt. But most people are heavily invested in bad debt. I watched another video. There was a woman who was in a luxury bag store, started crying, right? Started crying because they approved her for a luxury bag. That video hurt my heart so bad to the point I just couldn't believe that a human would go so hard over a damn bag. She started crying, right? I got someone to chime in. What's going on?
All right, so I have advice for people struggling with a credit card balance.
Okay.
You can open up a new account, and you know how they get you with, 0% interest for the first 6 months or first year. So you transfer your balance over to that new bank, and you pay it down without having the interest. And then hopefully you pay it all off, so then you're not paying that 23+% interest in the future.
Do that one more time. Break it down a little slower.
Okay, so if you have a credit card balance that you're struggling to pay down because of the high interest rate, you open up a new account that gives you 0% interest for the first, with a different credit card, right? So if you have Discover, open up with American, and then transfer that Discover balance over to American, right? So now you have 0% interest and you can pay it down more easily. So yeah, you do that, you pay it down, and it's going to be hard, but not as hard because you don't have that extra,
interest.
Say like you have like 5,000 balance, that could be up to like a 200 additional payment every month. So yeah, you pay it down without that additional payment, and it's a lot easier. And that's something that I was told to do, and I still need to do it, and I hope you guys all do that.
That's actually really good. Give it up for Jessica, guys. But guys, she's 100% right. When you look at, that's a hack that she just gave you. To take a balance from one card, to put it on another card, because what kills you on credit cards is actually the interest, right? Understanding interest. A lot of people don't understand it. When you fall into delinquency, now you're starting to get into a problem, right? There was a kid that came in my store, and I want y'all all to hear this. He said to me, I'm gonna open up a credit line. I said, what kind of credit line? He said, I'm gonna open up a business credit line. My boy said he can give me $100,000 in business credit. I said, I don't think it's, what you're saying is right. I said, it sounded like there's a little leeriness in there. I said, you need to explain a little bit more to me. He said, all I have to do is open up an LLC, right? And after I open up an LLC, I can literally just have $100,000 in business credit. I said, that's cap. He said, no, it's not cap. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, it's cap. He said, how do you figure it's cap? I said, because they're gonna make you the personal guarantor for the business credit. You're not established, you're not accredited, and the bank won't be foolish enough to just give a business that they don't even know, right? My homeboy LLC, $100,000 in credit. I said, that's not reality. He said, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, I've only been in business for myself forever and a day. I said, it's cap. He says, argue. I said, brother, I'm gonna tell you something. From man to young man, you're about to get smoked. He said, no. I said, how much are you paying this guy to do it? He said he's gonna take a 20% of the money. I said, wait. So you telling me he's about to take your $100,000 credit limit and put 20% on it, which is $20,000. He said, yeah. I said, interest alone, you're gonna be paying up to the upwards of $600-700 a month just in interest. He's like, nah, but I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get an Airbnb, and once I get the Airbnb with the $80,000, it's gonna pay it all off. I said, it sounds like a plan, but Mike Tyson said everyone can fight until you get punched. Then you realize you can't fight. Well, after you get punched, you'll realize everyone has a plan until they get into the game. I can see if this person was already in Airbnbs and they was already making the money and therefore understanding what they were doing. But you do not learn on someone else's high interest money. You're playing with fire. So he says to me, I disagree. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, my young brother, I'm telling you, from big bro to little bro, don't do it. He still went on and did it. Today, he's coming in my shop crying with over $60-something thousand in credit card debt with almost a 30% interest rate, crying every single day to me. One thing you have to understand when you take on business credit, that is considerably the no man's land. What I mean by no man's land is they can charge you a higher interest rate than it is for personal credit, because it's considerably higher risks that they're taking by lending your business. He didn't want to hear it, ultimately crying every day about, yo, I got to pay $1,700, $1,800 a month just in interest. The only way that kid could pay that credit card debt off is by dumping $3,000, $4,000 on that credit card every single month. He's in a horrible predicament. And you know the sad part is every single month it accrues interest. So if he has, let's say he owes $60,000 and every month his interest, let's say is $1,000. If he don't pay anything every month, it goes up $1,000. So now it's $61,000. The following month is $62,000. The following month is $63,000. I said, you're in a bad predicament. I said, you need to do Uber Eats, Grubhub, and work 2 jobs until you pay off this debt. I said, because, bro, you're in a bad predicament. I said, and it's not going anywhere. I said, that debt is not going anywhere. He's like, but I said, don't feel, go do. You need to go get more jobs. You need to go work, whatever you need to do to get this debt off. See, a lot of people don't understand. It's not about how much money you borrow, but it's about the interest of the money that you're borrowing. And this is the conversations we don't have. When social media is teaching you how to cap, look at all of those people. I'll show you how to buy a house with no money down. That's a lie. Whoever taught this lie, because if I told you how to get rich in 30 years, my video will have 10 views. But if I tell you how to get rich in 30 minutes, my video will have 10 million views. And the sad part is you can really create a plan that in 30 years you'll be a multimillionaire. But if I told you how to get rich in 30 minutes, now this is where the enticing comes, right? Because everyone nowadays seems to have something called a phobia, the fear of missing out. FOMO. They believe that I'm missing out on all the wealth that everyone is gaining and obtaining. These people are lying. It's all cap. Show me the receipts. I don't give a damn about what you tell me. I give a damn about what you can show me. Because it's one thing to tell me that you're doing good. It's another thing when you don't have to tell me you're doing good. I can see it. Because 9 out of 10 times where a person has to tell you, they're usually capping. I tell them. But again, what you want? When you look at culturally how we're being influenced over, you'll see this is the reason why we're losing. We're constantly being influenced by people who are full of crap. One of my guys about to say something, guys.
All right, so I normally get people, they say not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but not everybody wants to invest. How do you feel about that? What do you feel like is the best way the best route a person should go if they're working at, that 9-to-5 job, they're in that hamster race, but they still believe that not everybody could be an entrepreneur and get successful?
I genuinely believe that everyone can't be an entrepreneur. Everyone do not have the mentality to be an entrepreneur. Everyone do not have the mental fortitude. Everyone don't have the strength. Everyone don't have the ability to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur comes with a lot of skills. Discipline, sacrifice, consistency, a lot of headaches that come with it. A lot of people only glorify entrepreneurship. But a lot of times when people say that they're actually entrepreneurs, they're actually self-employed. It's the difference between being an entrepreneur and being self-employed. There are a lot of people who make enough in their little companies, and I'm not dissing them, but they make enough just to sustain their life. Oh, I own my own power washing company. Okay, you made $60,000 last year before taxes. After taxes, technically, you made about, let's say hypothetically, $44,000. So technically, you're living under the actual average person's income. And now let's equate that there's no Medicaid, no medical insurance, there's no dental, and a lot of people aren't paying into SSI, Social Security. So when you equate these things, a lot of people actually need to go back to get a job because it's safer for them to be at a job than it actually is to be an entrepreneur. especially when you know you don't have the mental capacity of discipline to pay yourself first every time you get a check. Open up your own 401k and manage it, right? This is good for someone who doesn't want those responsibilities. But everyone should ultimately understand that you have to invest. Because the first person you should pay is your goddamn self. You should pay your goddamn self first. You should not be paying Sally Mae, Geico. That lizard gonna have money regardless. That little lizard, that Geico lizard, he getting bread. He gonna be all right, right? What's the other one named? Who? Progressive, right? State Farm. Jake from State. Jake got bread. Jake is in the new 2K, right? But again, we gotta pay ourselves first. Go ahead.
So in terms of paying yourself first, what about the people who are just so covered in bills and like they don't see, like they just covered in bills every week? It's a new bill, it's rent, it's this, it's that. Where would they start off with paying themselves first if they have a limited check and they got to pay bills?
Look at the logic. If I'm driving a car and I come to a dead end, right? What am I going to sit there and wait for them to build a new road? Or am I going to put the car in reverse, back up, and go the other way? Sometimes in life you have to downsize. And there's nothing wrong with downsizes in order to go back forward better. A lot of people want to pretend that they're already ahead when they're not. And they're using that time to pretend as if they're ahead, which keeps them stuck in stagnated positioning. There is nothing wrong with learning from losing. Because a loss comes with the territory of winning. There is no L's without winning. You cannot win without losing. Let's just acknowledge that. So for me personally, I think a person should automatically say, you know what? I made some poor decisions financially. Let me scale back. I may not be able to go out to eat. I may not be able to have so much fun. But guess what? You could make being home fun, right? You could make being home fun. Such as, you know what? Rather than say, hey, I got to cook tonight, yo, let's make cooking together an experiment. Let's have fun doing it, right? Because sometimes life is just about being alive. And to be aware is to be alive. And a lot of people aren't aware, so they're not alive, right? So you cannot change anything if you're not aware of your own situation. You got to be able, it's like the smelly kid in the class that don't smell like they smell. They're immune to their smell. Sometimes you got to smell your own funk and say, I stink, and I have to do something about it. And that's just life. Because what you can identify, you can fix. If you can't identify it, you can't fix it. And a lot of people don't want to express that. Damn, I made some poor financial decisions. I accumulated some credit card debt. I do have some student loan debt. So let's make it make sense. I told a guy the other day, I said, I think you should go live with your people. He said, why? I said, because you're able to knock off the debts. And maybe when you come out of that situation, you can come out rather than having your head. Look, imagine being underwater and your nose is right here. One mess up, you're here. So that's how you drown. What I tell people all the time is, how about you start working your way like this? But in order to do that, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. There is nothing wrong with that. I think everybody should be using their parents and their people to save money because it speeds up your process. If I got to go to my mother's house, eat a little bit of SHIT for a little while to put myself in a BETTER situation, I'm going to do that. And the reason being is because if you're able to go to work and do it because you're looking to get ahead, you got to also understand your job is a business, right? When your job is a business, all you're looking at it as, this is to be used so I can elevate my life. Your whole life is a business. That's why you have something called a social security number. Your social, I can identify who you are. To the color of the person you are, right? To your sex, and not only your sex, I could also identify who you are as a person when it comes to finance. That number that's attached to you means more than anything because you are a business. As soon as you open up a corporation or a business, you get something called a what? Tax ID number, or EIN number, right? So once you open up these corps, you'll see that it's everything in America is about business. And the people that are good at business with self ultimately make the best decisions that put themselves in better positions. But if a person don't understand that, They're going to continue to make poor decisions. Because I had to tell a guy the other day, I said, bro, it's not about finding the most expensive apartment. It's about finding a cheap apartment that's safe so you can constantly save so you can move ahead. That's what it's all about. Because the goal is not to stay in someone's apartment. The goal is to buy a home. I'm going to say this on record. If Americans don't understand that the ultimate goal is wealth building, you cannot build wealth where there's no teamwork. And until we reunite, right? Men and women, look at the culture. Everything is about fighting against each other. Men hate women, women hate men, and men ain't this and women ain't that. And as long as you have this, you're not going to have any wealth building. Because right now, culturally, America is in a space where you need multiple streams of income to acquire or purchase a home. 90% of millionaires come through real estate. Let's establish that. 90% of millionaires come through real estate. So look at that statement. 90% of millionaires come through real estate, and now one of the hardest acquisitions is acquiring a home. Because most people do not fit the financial quota to get into a home. But the only way to adjust that statement, right, is by adding income, meaning a partner. But that's the issue. I'm going to do it by myself. You're delusional when you're fooling yourself. Hey, Chris. Got another question, guys?
Quick question. So do you think the mindset today, you think people are more afraid of failure or just feel like they just okay with where they're at? Like they don't want to try. Do you think that's holding them back to being like their better version of themselves?
I think personally, when you said the term, what I heard from that statement is comfort. Yes. And a lot of people are insecure when it comes to change. Change challenges. Growth challenges. But a diamond can't become a diamond unless it goes through the vigorous process of becoming a diamond, right? But a lot of people are fearful of going through the process in order to get to the level they want. So they pretend as if they're comfortable in the space that they're in because it's easier to stay in that same space. But again, if one won't challenge themselves, one won't become great. And there's nothing wrong with failing, learning, growing, elevating, going down a little bit, going back up. But the thing is about finding your partner, right? I always tell my little brother, one of my guys, we were talking about, he's like, a while back, I'm going to say this story all the time. You know, I love my story, right? You might not know. But we ain't going to say no names. But I always tell him, I said, the reason why I'm comfortable with your mate is because I know if something happened to you, she'll have your back. And I said, that's the whole premise of a relationship. Why would I want to drive all the way from New York to California without a spare tire? Why would I want to do that? Because God forbid if my car breaks down, I have to know for a fact, not maybe I can break down where it could be a mechanic shop to give me a spare. No, I need the certainty. So the healthy relationships is ones who understand the certainty of two people working together. So therefore, if something happened to you, I got you. If something happened to me, do you got me? When you have two healthy people in a relationship, then you have a healthy relationship. But if you have one person that's unhealthy and one person that's healthy, one of the people are going to bleed onto the other person. And if you keep bleeding onto the other person, you become either a Band-Aid or a tampon. Damn. But again, we can't look at life like that. We got to learn what's true and what's false, what's real and what's fake. Because the social media world has created this false propaganda. I'm going to go on record and say this. I'm a big masculine man, and there is no way I can be this great man without a great woman. Let me say that one more time. I want every man on this live and every woman on this live to hear me because I'm not offended or afraid to tell the truth. I am a greater man when I stand next to a strong woman. Naturally. Because what I'm not gifted at, my mate will be. And if a person don't think like, I'm this, you're insecure as hell. You're insecure. This is why people are the way they are, because they're insecure. You got to create yourself into security, right? We got to create ourselves into security. Kids, you got no question? You going to ask something, right? But again, How can we fix what we can't identify? How can we say what we know isn't true? How can we help, right, when we know we're the sick? Imagine going into a room with a cold, right? And you're just coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. There's 100 people in the room. What will eventually happen? Everyone else in the room become sick because you're contagious. That's what the culture is. When I watch media, I'm seeing a lot of insecure people, hyper fake masculine people. I watched this video the other day, right? And I'm being honest. There were two men sat across from each other. They were doing a debate about relationships. One of the guys said to the guy, pull up your panties. I said, I'm gonna tell you something. If I was in that debate, I would have simply invited him outside to see who have on the panties. Because once you feel the need to insult to that magnitude, is because you're trying to emasculate me as a man. You have your opinion, I have my opinion. But I'm not standing for no man inviting me to no private area. I'm not standing for no man calling me any of the things above. It's not happening. Because if you're trying to prove a point, let's go prove a point by me inviting you outside, one-on-one, and nobody get in, just me and this person, no weapons. I could never stand for something like that. I feel like a man is a weak man when he feels he needs to assault a woman to make himself feel strong. I'm being fair. I feel like a woman is a weak woman when she feels that she needs to verbally assault a man in order to make herself feel secure. Because a lot of times we pour out onto others how we feel about ourselves, right? Sometimes I do say things about my ladies, and I say it in the regards of fixing the problem, not hurting. But if some people take it as hurt, that's entirely up to them. I don't hate men, I don't hate women, but I do hate the problems that's in our culture. I hate what's being taught in America to the point where most people that's teaching it is because they know that it's going to be more failure that comes from it. Think about it. A poverty-stricken area is more prone to have what? Mass incarceration, early childhood, underdeveloped minds. And they make a lot of money off of it because the employers need a lot of money by employing people who are comfortable with believing that they can only go to a certain level. And if a mind believes that it can only go to a certain level, therefore it will stay comfortable. And I'm not dissing anyone. It will stay comfortable behind a cash register at a supermarket because it believes that that's the ultimate goal that it can achieve. But this is a teaching. Poverty comes with a teaching. It's a mentality. But when you speak against it, some people, oh, I don't agree. I'm like, because don't take your story and make it the totality of the world. Today I was in a shop. You know what a guy said to me? He said, no man could ever be better than their father. I flipped on him. I said, I disagree. He said, why do you disagree? I said, because I'm way greater than my father. I said, I'm way greater than my father. He said, what do you mean? I said, you're taking your story. Maybe you had a great father, and you're making that the totality of the world. What social media does, it takes your story and it makes it the totality of the world. Let's just say hypothetically I got cheated on by a woman. Now every woman ain't crap. Why? Because of my personal experience. Why not say Tasha Green from such and such area ain't crap? That's the girl that cheated on me, right? Ain't no Tasha Green. I just made the name up. And Tasha, if you're on there, I apologize. I don't know. I just made up a name, right? But I'm just saying, why not understand that? One thing I realized, that the premise of life is elevation. Without unity, there is no elevation. We're so distracted by this media that we so caught up in what could be. The main character syndrome, as I said before. I had a homeboy call me today and tell me that his girl was crying because her TikTok vanished. And you know the scariest part? I'm gonna tell y'all something. You'll go in my store, right? There'll be somebody, I'll ask them, I'm gonna tell you 5 broke things I think, jobs that people say they do. One of the number 1 jobs I think broke people say they do is influencers. I'm being honest. Let me say it again. I'm gonna bring up the statistics. I think one of the brokest jobs that people say they do is influencers. Mad people say they're influencers and they're not making any money, right? If you agree, let me get a thumbs up. But watch this. So the young guy said to me that he's an influencer. I say, ain't no money in there. I said, bro, you have to be one of the 1 percentile in order to make that kind of money as an influencer. He said, I disagree, because at the end of the day, I know for a fact I make money as an influencer. Watch this. As he said this, right, I'm going to tell you something funny. He said, he's an influencer. So I said, how much money you make? No. I said, how many followers do you have? He said to me, I have about 5,000 followers. He said, Q, you don't know because you're older. So I said, okay, you're assuming. I said, I don't know nothing about social media. He says, no, you don't know nothing about social media because you're older. So I said, okay. So what happens when you get to 100,000 followers? He said, once I get to 100,000 followers, oh my God, I'll be making at least $20,000, $30,000 a month. I said, my young brother, where did you get this information from? He said, I watched a YouTuber. He says what he makes and da 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 da. I said, he showed you stats, right? He said, yeah. I said, we're going to act like we don't know what Photoshop is, right? We're going to act like we never seen that before. Well, you could make things look like something that is not. And the power of AI will make you believe that someone's on vacation when they're not. Technology is advancing to the point where some of the videos I see of bears chasing humans, that might not even be real. That's how crazy the technology is. So I went back to this kid. I said, brother, you're so caught up in social media that you believe that anything that these people tell you becomes gold because it registers to your mentality. And that's why you're comfortable where you at, because you are listening to people who make you comfortable to hear what you want to hear. So he said to me, what makes you think you know? I said, because I have over 1 million followers. You just told me about 100,000. So that means I'm 900,000 followers more than you. He said, you're lying. I said, I'm not lying. I proved it to him. He's like, oh. I said, what it is they create this content. And we have to identify something called clickbait, right? Clickbait. Clickbait is thumbnails, right? It's captions. It's verbiage, it's words, it's content that makes people easily feel attached to. Look at Mike Tyson get knocked out. And then you see Mike Tyson with a black eye falling down in the thumb drive. This is what people create. I would say this media is a bowl of crap to the point where it's affecting everyday people who can be somebody, but they're using their energy on pretending to be someone they're not. Someone call in right now, 516-253-1150. Call in right now, 516-253-1150. Listen, if we don't realize that the world is all about cap, it's all cap. According to most reports, the average influencer earns around $35,000 annually. That's yearly, and that's probably the 1%. That's the 1%. The average influencer, which is the 1%, makes over $35,000 a year. Divide that by 12 for me for a second. Divide 35,000. Tell me what, $35,640. Divide that by 12. $2,970. It sound like, I'm saying? But again, it's so much, I want to be an influencer. Most of those influencers are going to look for jobs. They're looking for jobs. Because there's only so many hip dancing you can do as a TikTok influencer. It's only but so many nays and quans and you can do. It's only but so many, wait, they don't love you like us. It's only but so many of them dances you can do. Like, it's entertaining. But I hate to say this, there's no real skill. There's no real substance. But again, if I get on live and talk about something that can elevate a mind, it's too much to listen to. We have very short attention spans. But if I got on here right now and started about a bunch of cap, a bunch of lies, a lot of people would do it. Come on, do that over here. He just did the hips, right? But if I got on live and I started telling people how to get wealthy overnight, how to be rich, right? People are bored when they don't have no social media. I'm gonna tell you something, there's a line that two girls, one guy dates a girl that don't talk to the other girl. You know what both of the girls said? Which is crazy. Both of the girls said, I feel like you're not romantic, but all you are is a great provider. I said, I know for a fact you found that on social media. Social media makes you believe that relationships that are great are not that good. Because when you look at the fact that a man is tolerating your crap and the fact is a woman is tolerating your crap, we're both tolerating. The other day I had a guy come in my shop and he just so happened to have a different sexual preference for me. But I wanted to show him something, right? I wanted to show him something. I genuinely believe that a lot of feminine energy comes with a lot of narcissism. And I'm gonna say why. Let me hear my statement first. Somebody in the studio making faces. I just want her to hear this statement, right? You can rebuttal it, but watch this. So I said to him, I said, I've noticed a lot of men are very attracted to more fit women. A lot of men that date heavier women is because they settle. But watch this statement. I said, if you were to sit that guy down and go look at the women that he looks at on his algorithm, it's gonna be more fit women. I said, but yet and still he may settle for you because he may love you, he may fall in love with you. I said, but aesthetically, you're not the cream of the crop as he would like. He said, that's crazy, you're fat shaming, that is disgusting, wow, 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 screamed on me. Walks into the bathroom. I said, now I'm gonna show y'all something. I'm gonna show y'all this narcissist. I said, remember, I told him my preference, and I told him what most men's preference are. I said, but now watch this. He comes out the bathroom. I said, yo, you know what I think you should date? He said, what? I said, I think you should date a broke dude. I would never date a broke bum. And I said, my brother, you are a narcissist. And I said, you see how you were able to set your standards. And the fact that I told you what a man's standard is, it's always kicked under the rug because it don't fit to the criteria of what you want to hear. So therefore, you don't want to hear what I'm saying. You're suppressing what the opposite sex is saying, what they're interested in, because it doesn't fit your agenda, which states volumes. Because naturally, fit people come across as more attractive. If you look at it, all corporations, whether man or woman, that are the CEOs or the professional or the faces of companies, they're usually fit. Because it shows a representation of maturity, it shows a representation of consistency, discipline, it shows a representation of all things that are above. So I said, if a man tells you that I am more attracted to a woman that's fit, why do you get offended because of a man's preference? Naturally, if a man said he would date a heavier woman, if you sat that heavier woman in a room and you put that same woman, same exact woman, listen to me, who is fit and in shape, and he can choose either version of her, he would choose the fitter version. He was like, that's crazy. I said, it's real. I'm listening.
Okay, so when you say fit, do you mean like they've been on Ozempic, they don't have any muscle mass, they're just thin? Or do you mean like I don't know, let's say an average body type, maybe this woman is 200 pounds, but she's like a good balance of like muscle, but there's like a little bit of fat, but she's healthy, right? Do you mean like healthy fit or like thin?
Healthy fit.
Okay.
See,
so yeah.
Go ahead, say something.
So I would agree from like a biological evolutionary standpoint, like people would be more attracted to someone who is healthy, right? And that is going to be someone who is fit and working out and probably eating a healthier diet so they're not, overweight or obese. I mean, I also don't like using those terms because it's also often based on BMI. That table that doesn't actually make sense and doesn't take into account like muscle weight versus fat weight. But there is some truth to that. It just depends on how you say it.
I said it nice.
Yeah. I think
people nowadays, and I want you to respond to this, they personalize most realities. Because social media has created a space where people can take things personal and irate, even if it's a person's preference, right? To the point where it's like, oh, you're offending me, you're dissing me, you're trying to play me. I'm like, wait. Naturally, most people are very defensive creatures because social media has given away too many participation awards. Either you are a winner or you are a loser. And now you see more people pretending to be winners because they're not comfortable with losing until they win.
No, going back to what you say, if you can't accept losing, you can't accept winning. But also too, when you mention you're being you're telling a person as nice as they are is like, yo, you're gonna die soon. You have diabetes, you have high blood pressure. To be honest, there's no nice way of saying about it. You have to tell people, the brutal truth about themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so survival of the fittest. If you have diabetes, you probably have that in your genes. You're predisposed to probably pass that on to your children. So there's an aspect of this argument that is purely scientific as well. So I don't know, if people can strip away their insecurities and come about this conversation from that angle, it doesn't have to be personal.
Yes.
It is what it is.
Yes. But if you look at logic right now, you see, let me say this. You look at right now, most people, right, they're very attracted to fit, right? And I'm talking about scientifically proven. Most women are more attracted to men that are economically secure. Most women. Unless she might be the woman that might be the person that wants control. So sometimes there are women who make a lot of money, but they date men that are very down because they want control. And there are men who do that also. Let me identify both. There are men who will date a woman that's way down because they want to control them. And there are women that do the same exact thing, right? But again, we can't address the elephants in the room because a lot of the times, I genuinely believe that narcissism has plagued the culture so bad that people don't even want to address the elephant in the room. So they'll say, you know what? I told a woman one day, as you know, I do a lot of consulting one-on-one with people. You know, a lady said to me, she has 3 kids. And this is not trying to play her. This is me just saying the testimony of the conversation I had. 3 kids, 3 different dads. And she wants the highest economical valuable man there is in the world, which is the 1 percentile. And I asked her this question. I said, let's be fair and honest. Most of those people that you're describing, they're either athletes, they're either entertainers, actors, some level of influence, right? She goes, yes. I said, when you look at those people that you're describing, right? Look at the women that they naturally attach themselves to, Jessima. Very, 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 very attractive women who take care of themselves. So I said, you're basically telling that 1 percentile, they're shallow and they're not real men because of the fact that they won't accept you for the way you are. But then when a woman says a man that's broke is trash, that is not shallow. I think that is crazy as hell. I think that's crazy as hell. That's the cap that we see on social media. But again, if we don't address it, we're going to continue to have the problems. I don't hate my ladies. I don't hate my men. But I hate some of the things that we both do. Eh?
Speaking about the cap on social media, just going in regards to our men, as a man, do you feel the men who are out there dating and chasing women, do you feel like, can they be successful and financially stable chasing women and spending their money? Do you think they can get to that point if they're doing that, or do they need to take a break from that and focus on building themselves first to then go outside and do that? How do you feel about that?
Okay. The best way to address that is this. All my men in the room right now, raise your hand if you would date a woman that has to learn how to respect you. She don't have no respect, but she has to learn how to respect you. Would you date a girl like that? Would you date a girl like that? Would you date a girl like that? Would you date a girl? Let me hear everybody say it on the mic real fast. What'd you say? Say it to the mic.
No.
What you got?
Hell nah.
What you got?
Nope.
What you got?
Nope.
When you tell a man, or rather a woman, to date a man who is trying to figure out his finances, is the same thing as telling a man to date a woman who is trying to figure out respect. Right? Listen to that statement. When you date a man, a woman dates a man who's trying to figure out his finances, is the same thing as a man dating a woman who's trying to figure out respect. Think about it. Men value respect. Women value stability, security, protection, right? That's their value, right? And when a man can provide those three things, she tends to feel more secure. Would you agree? Right? There are circumstances that permits things to happen in a duration of the relationship. There's a difference between a bum and a person that's fell off. That's different, right? But I'm saying in those cases, when a woman has to learn respect, a man won't attach himself to it. The same way a woman in most cases won't attach herself to a man that's not working hard to be the best version of himself. So I genuinely believe a man should work on himself before he starts taking on a mate. Because naturally, you know the difference between a lazy man, right, and a man that's actually trying to build himself. I think I say a woman, she has the patience of working with a man that's building, as long as he's showing that he has the potential. He's trying to grow. He's not sitting on his behind. He's not lazy. She will work with a guy like that. And that's genuinely, I feel like men need to stop chasing women. Because if you keep chasing, that's why a lot of men are broke. I'm being honest. They're chasing vagina. Anybody got anything else? So we're going to wrap this thing up, but I'm going to just say this, guys. When you look at social media and you look at the world today, we'll see that a lot of people aren't elevating because the people that they're following at ground zero. And as long as we continue to follow these people who influence our relationships, they're influencing our thoughts, they influence our fashion, they're influencing everything other than the right things. We're getting dating advice from single people. We're getting financial advice from broke people. We're getting health tips from the sickest people on earth. We're getting driving tips from people who don't even have a damn car. Because the one thing about that social media thing, anybody and everybody could be somewhere they're not. So what it does is it gives everyone a place to be something they aren't. But if we don't wake up and realize that it's all cap, and if we don't adjust our mental thinking by blocking out for social media for what it is, it's like watching a movie and believing that everything in this movie is real. I think in most cases, the hardest thing to do is date a lot of women because they have movie expectations. A lot of women don't have the examples of a healthy relationship. And a lot of men don't understand what true provision is because they watch movies also. We're watching a reel that's long reel of life. And your algorithm only feeds you what you want to hear and what you want to see. So if you cannot change your algorithm to combat your thoughts will be controlled by your algorithm. And a lot of people are being controlled by their algorithm because they're not challenging the way they think. You know how I learned how women think? I always think the opposite of what men think. A lot of times, women think completely opposite. And there's nothing wrong with that because we realize we are two different people. But we can learn to understand each other, right? Women are naturally more feeling-based creatures. Men are naturally more logical-based creatures. But if a man internalizes the conversation with a woman because he knows that she's in her feelings, he's going to continue to lose the battle of understanding a woman. And if a woman can't understand that a man is in his logic, and she can't understand that, she's going to lose the battle of understanding a man. Culturally, in order for us to grow, we got to be mindful of this social media thing. It's plaguing our thoughts. It's plaguing our mindsets. It's plaguing our actions. And it's plaguing our results. Because if you look at life, 1 + 1 will always equal 2. But social media has taught people how to change the mathematical equation by pretending to be more successful than they truly are. Till next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.